12 people have ever walked on the moon, and they all did it within just 4 years of each other. Then, for the last 50 years, no one has gone back. But that is about to change. Soon, astronauts will return to the moon to prepare for people to live there long term and to get us ready to send the first humans to another planet. But to do all of that, they need to be able to survive outside in space and work for hours in one of the most dangerous conditions a human being will ever face. The problem is, our spacesuits for the moon haven't been updated in decades. But now, to make this next chapter in space possible, spacesuits are getting a major upgrade. These new suits will give astronauts the superpower to do more for longer. And I am one of the first civilians to put one on. In this video, we're taking you behind the scenes to show you how they're designing, building, and testing NASA's new spacesuits. I'm gonna put myself and this suit to the test to give you a sneak peek into what it looks like, what it feels like, and how it might change what humanity can do in space.
Ignition sequence start. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Altitude 1600.
The Eagle has landed. It's one small step for man,
one giant step for Hugh if true.
Are you ready to go see a spacesuit?
I have never been more ready for anything in my whole life. Like, this is the episode that is most what 10-year-old Cleo would have desperately wanted to be doing now.
The stuff we get to do for this show is just ridiculous.
Today we're at Axiom Space, the company that NASA selected to build the Artemis 3 spacesuit.
Hi, Cleo, so nice to meet you.
This is a big deal. It's the first time that NASA has outsourced the production of their suits to replace the legendary but now aging and outdated suits that they have. That's where Axiom comes in. These new suits that they're building will be used for NASA's upcoming Artemis 3 mission. Here's the plan. In 2026, 4 astronauts will leave Earth on one of the most powerful rockets ever made and take the several-day journey to the moon. When they arrive, 2 of them will descend to the surface and spend 6.5 days there, which is twice as long as anyone has ever spent on the moon, and the first time that humans will have been back since 1972. And they'll be the first humans to explore this region near the lunar South Pole, where they hope to find resources like water and metals, which are crucial for living on the moon and getting to Mars. To do all of that, these astronauts need to be able to stay outside on the lunar surface longer than ever before. They need new kinds of protection against extreme heat and extreme cold. No one has ever spent so long in areas that never get any sunlight. They need more flexibility and even more range of motion to do their job, and they need suits that fit more kinds of people. For this big, ambitious mission and for the future of space travel, astronauts need the next generation of spacesuits.
So this is our prototype spacesuit that we use here at Axiom Space, and this is our suit test lab, so this is the lab where we do a lot of our testing.
This suit is almost done, but they're still testing and updating this prototype. The lives of astronauts depend on the people, technology, and work being done in this room.
That's the purpose of the spacesuit, right? We want to go into space, we want to go to explore wherever it is, low Earth orbit or the surface of the moon. And the spacesuit is there to enable you to do that. That's its job.
One of my big questions that I've always had is, if I were to snap my fingers and instantaneously be in space, in the vacuum of space, okay, how would I die?
So this is a controversy in the community, actually.
Amazing.
So
basically, there are a dozen things that are gonna kill you. The controversy is what order they're gonna kill you in. Most sci-fi gets this wrong. You probably wouldn't immediately freeze or explode. If you snapped your fingers and you were in space right now, your first problem is gonna be there's no atmosphere, meaning no oxygen, but also meaning no pressure keeping you together like on Earth. So the pressure difference between inside and outside of your body would immediately cause all of the air to just rush on out of you. Imagine a balloon. But don't hold your breath, because then your lungs might. Then in about 15 seconds, your brain would stop getting the leftover oxygen in your blood, so you'd black out, which is probably good because your body would be swelling up, since the lower pressure would then start to lower the boiling point of the water inside of your blood and your tissues, turning it into vapor inside of you. Though you likely wouldn't explode because your skin is super stretchy. Your next problem is temperature. Because there's no atmosphere, there's no ambient temperature around you. But if you were in the sun, the light would make that side of your body heat up to potentially 150 degrees Celsius, while simultaneously the other side of your body would be slowly freezing down to negative 150 degrees. Oh, and if somehow you survived that, you'd be getting so blasted by radiation that it would probably poison you and give you cancer. And you might eventually get shred to bits by flying objects going faster than bullets. But if you got rescued before about 90 seconds, you might actually survive. After that, though. So, spacesuits are really important. The first step to putting on a spacesuit is to basically sign your life away and get a bunch of medical tests.
This is a medical history that says that I'm fit to be inside a spacesuit. Probably.
The reason I need these tests is that they're gonna fully pressurize the suit around me, which protects astronauts from dying, but can have dangerous consequences if you have certain medical conditions.
Perfect. So yeah, I want you to close your eyes really tight and don't let me open them. Chicken wings. Don't let me press down. Don't let me pull up. Perfect.
One thing I realized as I was prepping to get in the suit is that we've got to stop thinking about spacesuits as clothing. These are not clothes, not even really high-tech clothes. This is a one-person, human-shaped spacecraft. But not all spacesuits are the same. There are a few big buckets you should know.
One is what's called launch and entry suits, and the other one is what I would call EVA suits, or extravehicular activity suits. And that's the suit that we're working on here. Launch and entry are those orange space shuttle suits. They're the white and black suits that SpaceX uses. They're essentially high altitude suits such that if your vehicle experiences a problem and loses its ability to control the atmosphere of the vehicle, those suits become an atmosphere for you and allow you to at least re-enter to get back to Earth safely.
Spacesuits began in this launch and entry bucket.
So when you go back and look at the Mercury program, really what they were dealing with is these high altitude suits that protected you in case your cabin lost pressure or something like that. It's kind of like being on an airplane. They tell you like, hey, if your mask will come down if we lose air pressure, and that's to give you oxygen. The difference with spaceflight is you're so high, not only do you need oxygen, you also need a suit to keep the pressure on your body, right?
But as humans did more in space, we needed suits that could do more too. The kind of extravehicular activity suit that NASA uses is called the
Extravehicular Mobility Unit, or the EMU. Those are ones where you're outside, extravehicular, right? You're on the surface of the moon or you're floating in low Earth orbit. And those suits are the ones that let you go out and explore into space.
Some EMUs allow astronauts to walk on the surface, like this, and some are just for zero gravity, spacewalks, like this. But until now, an EMU has been basically impossible to fix in space, which is a problem if we want to live there.
That suit was originally designed for these 14-day missions of flying up, coming down, being refurbished, flying up, coming down, being refurbished. This is different than that. We've designed this suit from the ground up, from the very beginning, to be maintained on orbit or on mission. It's much more sustainable in terms of helping spaceflight costs come down over time so that more people can access space.
The goal is to bring down the cost of getting the suits to space, and also the cost of the spacesuits themselves. The NASA suits from the 1970s were each reported to cost about $150 million in today's dollars. NASA gave Axiom $228 million for the development of the new model, but the plan is to reduce the cost per suit as they make more of them. The future of space travel needs suits that are cheaper to make and cheaper to use.
It sounds like this moment reflects a major transition in the way that we're thinking about humans in space at all.
Absolutely.
That's why this new suit is so huge if true. It's part of this big change in what humans can do in space. So now, it's time to put this new suit to the test.
Now I get to go put on my cooling pajamas before I get in the suit.
The cooling pajamas that astronauts wear look like this. They're technically called liquid cooling garments. You wear these under the suit, and water runs through these tubes to make sure that you don't get too hot.
So this is the answer to the question of how do astronauts go to the bathroom. They use a diaper, and they don't call it a diaper, they call it a MAG, a maximum absorbency garment. And then this, and then I'm ready. Okay.
And then these are your 2 songs.
Awesome. Okay. Go away.
Let's do this thing. Put me to work. I'm technically a test subject. Oh, I get a little hat. I wanted to say I've never been more ready for anything in my life, but I am also really nervous.
And hey, Cleo, scratch your face before you get in.
Oh, I was gonna ask, how do you deal with being itchy?
Use the neck ring and the Valsalva, but like sometimes you're like, I can't get to it.
Those were 2 of my big questions. How do you pee and how do you itch? And it seems like the answer is...
You deal with it.
All right, boss.
Let's get you to walk back here. We'll get you to walk up the steps.
If you're uncomfortable at any point, just say so. We can get you out fast. Just.
Thank you.
Are you reading me?
I read you.
Can you give me a quick 5 count?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're hooking up my cooling. I'm starting to feel it cooling my lower legs. Now my upper legs. Now I'm feeling it in my top as well. Huh, wow, I feel cooler.
So at this point, you're clear to drop into the suit. Any restriction on this?
This suit is just a marvel of human engineering. It represents decades of achievements, not just in spaceflight, but in manufacturing and design and chemistry and textile science and thermodynamics and so much more. It's the next step in our interplanetary future. Now it's the big moment. As the helmet went on, there was this moment where I just felt calm. I closed my eyes and I imagined being an astronaut.
This feels as cool as I thought it would when I was a kid. I can't believe I'm inside a spacesuit right now, and it's everything that I ever imagined. Can you hear me now? Okay, yeah, testing. I don't know how to describe this. It doesn't feel mechanical, it doesn't feel like fabric, it doesn't feel like a big coat. It's like wearing an Iron Man suit. It feels like a spacesuit. It feels like you imagine a spacesuit feels. I don't know how else to describe it. The thing that's becoming really clear to me right now is that spacesuits are not clothes. This is much more like a human-shaped spacecraft.
Yes, it is. It's a human-shaped spacecraft. Yeah, your life depends on this. It has that reliability and that robustness built into it to protect you from all these things that could harm you.
Okay, so here's how this spacesuit stops you from dying in space.
First and foremost, the suit provides you an atmosphere, right? It provides you oxygen that you can breathe and pressure that your body can operate in.
The oxygen that I'm breathing right now comes from tubes running into the suit from this machine. But in the final suit, all of the oxygen and carbon dioxide being breathed in and out will be processed inside a big backpack, the primary life support system. As they're pumping oxygen into the suit with this machine, the pressure inside the suit, for me, is increasing. And that new higher pressure will be contained by the inner bladder layer. There are lots of layers to a spacesuit, but you can think of them in 3 major sections. Before I got into the suit, we got to see each of them being made.
So what we have here is that bladder layer, right? So this is the layer of the glove that actually holds the pressure.
If you want to know what these feel like, go find a pair of dishwashing gloves. It's basically similar except with a really fancy proprietary material.
Then, on top of the bladder layer, there's a restraint layer that stops the whole thing from inflating like a balloon because of the pressure. And this restraint layer also defines how the suit can move. Astronauts need to practice how to move in a spacesuit with a model like this.
This is what we call our 1G analog suit, or you can just think of it as a training suit. This is what the astronauts will wear when they're doing geologic training out in the desert somewhere. We use this to train them on what motions they can and can't do with tools. And so we have a variety of different joints and mobility elements that kind of teach the astronauts.
So if you think about how your shoulder moves, it doesn't only move that way. That's one way you could lift your arm. So astronauts have to learn, lift your arm this way, like this.
It was wild to actually feel that inside the suit.
Oh, that's very interesting. I can already feel that my arms move in these very specific ways. I feel like I could do anything I want with my arms, but I would have to follow a specific path to get there. That's the motion that I can do right now.
But as they add pressure, like they would on the moon, it gets harder to move, and it feels a little weird too.
What's happening right now is they're very, very slowly pressurizing the suit. So I'm feeling a little bit of weirdness in my ears.
Just notice how the resistance changes as the pressure increases.
Spacesuits get pressurized to 4.3 psi, or pounds per square inch. The pressure that you'd normally feel at sea level is 14.7 psi. So getting pressurized an extra 4.3 psi feels like diving to the bottom of a pool. Just enough where you need to pop your ears.
You can experience this yourself right now if you're watching this by holding your nose and blowing through it. That feeling in your ears is what I'm feeling right now. The way that I clear my ears, since I obviously can't hold my nose, is I go like this. Works great. I'm at 2.5 right now. We're going up to 4.3. And you can tell that my hands are getting stiffer. The suit itself is starting to feel a little bit different. But I can still do some things. I am feeling Okay.
Another thing for you to just think about while you're sitting right there is on a real EVA day, an astronaut will be doing this right here for about 13 hours. So you're in there for the next 13 hours. It's a challenging job.
13 hours. I'm wearing a diaper and I can't scratch my face.
So, together, the bladder layer and the restraint layer contain the atmosphere that you need and define how you can move. The final insulation layer helps protect you from all of these. That's the black outer layer. One thing you might be wondering is, why is it black and not the iconic white? The answer is because this is just a prototype. On the moon, it'll be white like this. And you might have heard that Prada is helping with pieces of the final design. But the color isn't just stylistic. They have to use white because they want to reflect as much light as possible to keep cool. This outer layer also protects astronauts from certain kinds of dangerous radiation and against cuts and punctures from dust and debris. They're still testing exactly what fabric to use to do all of that, and before I got into the suit, I got to see that process.
So here we've got one of our cutting tables, and so one of the things people may not realize is that this spacesuit is this three-dimensional thing. But it starts out as a two-dimensional shape.
And how much of this is like handmade versus like done by a larger machine?
So it's mostly handmade. There are some things that we've automated through machines. The cutting process is now automated. But in some cases, you're turning these machines by hand very slowly because of the precision that we need in the stitching. A lot of inspection, a lot of quality control on it so that we know that whatever we're building is going to be safe.
I'm a little bit surprised that it's so handmade. That precision is human precision as opposed to computer precision.
That's right, yeah. And some of that comes from, we don't make millions of spacesuits. So you would bring in that automation when you talk about a high production environment. But for us, we're not making those kinds of volumes. And so it's not really necessary right now.
I got to talk to one of the people actually hand sewing these prototype suits.
Sewing a spacesuit is a very unique job, even within the world of sewing. It's highly technical, very precise. So this crew of people, they're the ones that are making sure the suit keeps on alive, basically.
As I was in the suit, I could feel the craftsmanship that they put into it. It's an incredible piece of technology, from the top all the way to the bottom. One new aspect of this suit is how well this outer layer insulates your feet.
These boots have some unique proprietary features in them that essentially will insulate your foot from the surface of the moon, because the surface will be very, very cold. In permanently shaded regions of the moon that haven't seen sun, it's going to be very, very cold.
Another feature of these suits is that they're designed to fit a wide range of body types, which is crucial for sending more people to space. They're supposed to cover 90% of men and women in the United States. This is unlike previous Apollo suits that were custom designed to fit each astronaut, which is very expensive and also limiting. To fix this, Axiom uses a small, medium, and a large base option, and then they swap out and tailor additional pieces for the person inside. In the days leading up to this shoot, I had to send my measurements, not just my height and my weight, but also my chest breadth and my inter-wrist measurement and my crotch height. They assembled this suit for me. This kind of modular suit design will open the door to space to so many more people. This suit is incredible. Every little bit is pushing modern technology to the max. It's a spacecraft made as small and flexible and human-shaped as possible to make it easier to collect samples and do research and traverse the lunar surface. And now, I'm gonna get to show you a tiny taste of some of those tasks, if I can.
It's tricky. Ooh. I really don't want to fall down in your spacesuit.
They're about to put me through 4 challenges to see if I have what it takes to even try to be an astronaut. I'm doing this on Earth, which has 6 times the gravity astronauts will experience on the moon. Axiom wouldn't share exactly how much this prototype suit weighs, but it felt like I could stand in it for maybe 5 minutes without help, and the weight is distributed all around my body, so I would guess that it's somewhere between 150 to 200 pounds on Earth. On the moon, it will feel much lighter, though it'll be way harder to use for other reasons. So to get a more realistic sense of its moon weight, they're using pulleys to help lift me up.
I both feel very serious, like this is one of the greatest honors of my life. I also feel quite silly.
Oh man.
All right, challenge number 1, collect a sample.
This is going to be a challenge because those gloves are very long.
Okay, so just to be very clear, this is not indicative of what an astronaut will be able to do in space. Partly because I'm gonna stink at this, and partly because these gloves are both prototypes and quite large.
The first tools that they had me use were a chisel and a hammer.
I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. I can do it.
The goal here is to simulate the process of breaking off and collecting lunar rock samples.
Okay, so now I've broken off a piece.
The next part of this challenge was to collect my sample using only the tools.
Okay.
This was a lot harder than it looked.
I got it! So I would swing my arm. Aha! I got it. Yeah, I got it. I got it. I feel like an extremely technologically sophisticated squirrel. One small step for mankind, one giant step for huge if true. Oh no, my nose is running and I can't do anything about it. Don't look at me.
I'd say challenge number 1, accomplished. Challenge number 2, run. And by run, I mean walk fast. That treadmill that I'm about to get on is built for horses. Let's go.
Put me on the treadmill. I got it, I got it. All right, work me out. It's not that it feels heavy, it's that it feels weird. It's like I'm not actually moving my legs straight like you would normally walk. It's like I'm rotating the inside of the bearing, and that's how I'm walking. So it's sort of like, imagine waddling like a duck, but like in a much more graceful way. I could go faster. How fast is like fast?
Oh, it'll go fast.
Okay, take me to 2. Okay, 2.5. I mean, I couldn't do this for very long. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely warmer, but I'm not hot. This feels quite comfortable. I mean, it's a relative term.
Listen, not to brag, but later they told me that this is the fastest they'd ever seen a guest go on the treadmill.
Wait, guys, wait for the best part. I don't think I've ever been so happy.
Challenge 2, check. Challenge 3, do a squat in full Earth gravity.
I would love to attempt that. I'm about to try bearing all of the weight of the suit by myself, which at Earth gravity is quite heavy. This is much, much heavier than it will be on the moon or on Mars.
All right, here we go. The hardest squat of my life.
Thanks, guys.
Challenge 3, check. Final challenge, kneel and get back up.
So the goal is to put one knee on the ground. Whew. I feel like I'm planting a flag. This is an example of something you would not be able to do in the current EVA suits. Being able to be in a position like this in a full EVA suit. Oh, thank you.
And now, for extra credit, do the moonwalk.
Yeah, you gotta try to do the moonwalk. You gotta.
Wait, yeah. Okay, how do you do the moonwalk? I can't even do the moonwalk without a spacesuit on, but it's like, you let a YouTuber inside a spacesuit.
Okay, so I am not the most graceful person to have ever donned a spacesuit, but I was just so impressed by what they had built. A portable spacecraft that not only protects you from the harsh realities of space, but it can also bend and flex and work with our human bodies. The hope is that the suits that they make here will help us reach beyond our planet and unlock an interplanetary future that, as far as we know, only our species has ever even attempted. Getting to try on this spacesuit was the experience of a lifetime. It's what I dreamed about when I was a kid. And likely one day this suit and other prototypes like it will be in museums for other kids to see, in exhibits dedicated to the people and the equipment that prepared humanity to go farther than we've ever gone before.
If there's only one thing you take away from this video, it's how much work goes into designing a suit like this. Every time you see an astronaut do something new, every time you see an astronaut take a spacewalk or set foot on the moon again or set foot on Mars, don't just think about that astronaut. Think about all of the people that designed all of the things that that astronaut uses, all the way down to the intricate details of the suit that they're wearing. It's so cool. Can you say that again into my mic? What was that?
Saying you're the first person that has gone up to 2.5 on the treadmill. So very, very impressive. We've not had anybody go up that high.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
I wanted to say a big thank you to the Axiom team. We are the first creators that they've let into their facilities, and we were blown away by all of the amazing people on their team. Also, while we were there, they showed us a model of the space station that they're building, which was insane. So subscribe if you want to see more, because this is not the last episode that we'll be making about space. If you want to see that and more optimistic stories about space and our future, subscribe. We've got so much in the works for you.